Good morning. Today I'm going to encourage you to try something that is difficult for us Westerners, and that is squatting. A lot of the rest of the world uses squatting as their daily activity position, whether they're eating or in the garden or just sitting with friends. But we in the West, we do a lot of sitting in chairs, and that position isn't really good for us. It places a lot of pressure on our spine. Squatting is a more natural position. It's the position our ancestors would have used for their daily activities. It releases the spine, it opens the hips, and it's the most natural position to support the large intestine and bowel elimination. So it's good for us for all of those reasons. I'm going to show you a traditional squat to start with. I'm going to tell you some ways to modify that. If you have low back or knee issues, please don't try this at home. I'm going to follow it with an easy modification for people who have back and knee problems so that they can get the benefit of this without the pain or possible injury. So more traditional squat is a position with our knees are wide, our feet are wide and kind of turned out. Our elbows are between our knees, palms together. And what we really want to pay attention to, we want to pay attention to a couple of things in this position. Excuse me. And one of them is our tailbone. So our tailbone at the base of our spine, we often have it curved inward. So we're tucking our tailbone. And I want you to think about your dog, or if you don't have a dog, and a dog that has its tail tucked between its legs, right? It's a very subservient position. It's a fearful position. And you see when I round my tailbone, when I tuck it under, you see what happens to my whole spine and my shoulders. Kind of constricts everything. So what we want to do is we want to intentionally untuck that tailbone. So we just kind of round it out. Think about a dog that's happy with its tail wagging. Everything that we do physically transmits into the rest of our life. So if we untuck our tailbone and we wag our tails, then that transmits to a more confident and happier attitude throughout the rest of our system. You may have noticed, so when I round my tailbone, you see how my shoulders kind of drop. I mean, it's a little movement, but it's very important. Untuck your tailbone, and you want to think about your neck is long. It's not, your head's not down and tucked. You're not on your phone anymore. You want your spine to be long. You want to think about that thread that's pulling from the top of your head and out to the sky, and just elongating that spine nice and long. And you notice how your shoulders just sort of naturally drop down, and you can just kind of sit into this position. Now, if this is easy for you and you need a little bit more stretch in your hips, what you can do is you can take your palms and you literally press them together. And because your elbows are inside your knees, you can kind of push back with your knees. It's an isometric stretch. So you're pressing out with your elbows at the same time you're drawing in with your knees. And that engages your core. It supports and strengthens the pelvic floor of the body. At the same time, it engages all of the hip muscles. And so then when you release that, it releases a little bit more. So if this is not easy for you and you need some support, feel free to sit on something, okay? A foam roller, a yoga block, a blanket, stack some books, anything to sit on, and try to take this position to the best of your ability, because every little bit helps. And if you can do this every day, it will help get you to where you can do it easier. So feel free to sit on something. The other thing that you can do is you can actually bring your feet in a little bit, and you can turn your toes more center. You can, you want to get that spine long. You want to untuck that tailbone. You want to kind of bring your shoulders back. So, play with this a little bit. Again, sit. If this is difficult for you because of your calf muscles or your feet, our feet they're in shoes all day, and so all those little muscles and bones that want to spread out and grip the ground the way our ancestors would have, they get all smushed up in our shoes, and they don't get the nice stretch either. So you might need to come onto your tippy toes, right? And relieve a little bit of that stretch. As long as you are untucking that tailbone and thinking about the length, and then you can think about your breath and going all the way down, because now you've opened this whole area up. So now you can breathe more deeply. And I hope you can kind of feel how that whole lower back just starts to relax and release. Now, if you have bad knees or a bad back, what you can do is you can come down all the way onto your back. You can do this in bed, you can do this on a couch, you can do this on a floor, wherever you're comfortable. You just come down to your back and put your arms between right here, right behind your knees. This is to protect your knee joint so that you're not pulling on it and hurting it. And we're going to use our breath, and we're going to use just the natural weight of our legs. So we don't want to pull our legs into our chest. We want to just let them go. So we're going to inhale. And on our exhale, we're just going to, I'm not pulling, I'm just letting the weight of my legs come into my chest. And I can do this as many times as it feels good. Inhaling. Nice and deep, right? And then as you exhale, and you just feel the weight of the legs, and then let your shoulders kind of drop onto the floor as well. You get a nice openness all the way up the spine. So have fun with this. It's a challenge for a lot of us. It's a challenge for me. I've tried to make it look easy to encourage you, but it's only because I did yoga this morning and we did a lot of squatting that my body is open enough that I could get into the position fairly easily. So, take your time, be kind and compassionate with yourself, but do your lower spine and your hips and your body a favor, and see if you can work into some traditional squatting. Take good care.